For as long as I can remember, my life has been a roller coaster of emotions and challenges. I am a 34-year-old man, and since my teenage years, I've faced a complicated family dynamic. My mother passed away when I was 13, leaving my father widowed and devastated. For 3 years, it was just my father and me, navigating through the pain of loss and trying to stay afloat. When I was 16, my father remarried. My new stepmother, Clara, was a controlling and narcissistic woman. It didn't take long for her true nature to reveal itself. Soon after the wedding, she gave birth to my younger sister, Camila, who inherited her mother's authoritarian personality. Clara always favored Camila, creating a rift between us. After my mother's death, I moved in with my father, while Clara took care of Camila. My father, a business-oriented man, taught me everything he knew about his work. We worked together, and over time, he made me his partner in the company. It was a way for us to connect and, in some way, honor my mother's memory. If you like following bizarre stories on Reddit, subscribe below and turn on notifications. Chapter 2: The Death of My Father and the Inheritance. Life dealt us a cruel blow when my father, already immunocompromised due to smoking, contracted COVID-19. It was a devastating hit to our family. The disease weakened him quickly, and within days, he was fighting for his life in the hospital. The inability to visit him due to pandemic restrictions made the situation even more painful. I clung to brief and sporadic video calls, trying to convey strength and hope, but I felt powerless. When the news of his death arrived, it felt like the ground opened beneath my feet. The man who taught me everything about life and business, who was my rock after my mother's death, was now gone. The void he left was immeasurable. The funeral, held via video call due to the pandemic, was a moment of indescribable pain. Watching my father being buried through a screen made me feel even more distant and powerless. During the ceremony, as I tried to maintain composure, Clara interrupted with false accusations about my father's character. She claimed he had been unfaithful and irresponsible with money, attempting to tarnish his memory even after his death. Her attempt to destabilize the solemn moment was shocking and created an even more tense atmosphere. I could barely believe the cruelty and disrespect Clara was showing. After the funeral came the reading of the will, an event Clara awaited with a mixture of anxiety and greed. The family lawyer gathered us all on a video call, where each of us would hear my father's last wishes. The silence was almost palpable as the lawyer began the reading. The first revelation was that my father had left most of his assets and money to me. The company, the house I lived in, and the bulk of the savings were designated to me. For Camila, he left a car and a sum of money that, while significant, was much smaller compared to what he left me. Clara received only a small sum of money and some specific personal items. Clara's reaction was explosive. She stood up abruptly, her eyes blazing with rage. "This is absurd. You must have manipulated the will. He would never do this to me. I was his wife. I deserve more," she screamed, accusing me of cheating. Her voice reverberated in the room, and the expression of fury on her face showed that she would not accept this decision easily. I tried to stay calm, explaining that the will was made years ago, before any suspicion of illness. But Clara was inconsolable. She continued to accuse me of manipulating the will, claiming that I had convinced my father to disinherit her. "You always wanted everything for yourself. You were always the favorite. You manipulated your father until the end," she raged. Camila, who had been silent until then, started crying, adding more drama to the scene. "I'm his daughter too. I deserve more than a car and some money. How could he do this to me?" she lamented. I felt the pressure of the situation growing with every second, trying to find a way to calm things down. The lawyer tried to intervene, explaining that the will was legal and reflected my father's true intentions. But Clara didn't want to hear it. "This isn't over. I'm going to fight for my rights. You'll see, this isn't over," she threatened, storming out of the video call in a fit of rage. The days that followed were marked by constant tension. Clara didn't give up her accusations, and started looking for ways to contest the will. She consulted lawyers and tried to gather evidence that I had manipulated my father. The situation turned into a legal and emotional battle, draining my strength. Meanwhile, Camila, influenced by her mother, also started seeing me as an enemy. She, always favored by Clara, now saw me as the barrier between her and a life of comfort and luxury. The family dynamic, already fragile, was quickly crumbling. I tried to focus on work, keeping the company running amid the personal chaos. But the pain of losing my father and the stress of the conflict with Clara and Camila weighed heavily on me. There were moments when I felt on the verge of collapse, but I knew I had to be strong. My father had trusted me to carry on his legacy, and I couldn't let it fall because of Clara's schemes. The legal and emotional pressure continued to build until finally, a decision was made. The court validated the will, confirming that it reflected my father's true intentions. Clara and Camila, though dissatisfied, were forced to accept the decision. The relief I felt was immense, but I knew the tensions wouldn't disappear so easily. Clara and Camila would continue to be toxic presences in my life, seeking revenge for their perceived injustices. But, at least for now, the battle was won. However, little did I know that the true war was just beginning. Chapter 3: The Stepmother's Demand. Without warning, Clara and Camila showed up at my house, acting as if it was already theirs. Camila, pregnant, explored every corner of the house, opening cabinets and drawers without permission. Clara, meanwhile, behaved authoritatively, demanding changes in the decor and criticizing every detail. Clara demanded that I give the house to Camila, claiming that, because she was pregnant, she needed it more than I did. She argued that my father would have wanted Camila to have the house. The attempt at manipulation was clear, but what I discovered next was even more shocking: falsified documents that Clara planned to use to take possession of the house. Chapter 4: Conflict and Expulsion. The days after the will reading were marked by a tense calm, a prelude to the storm that was about to come. I tried to follow my routine, but the feeling that something bad was about to happen never left me. Then, without warning, Clara and Camila stormed into my house, like a wild storm, determined to take what they believed was rightfully theirs. It was a sunny morning when I heard the doorbell ring. I opened the door and was confronted by Clara and Camila, who were inside the house before I could process what was happening. They acted as if they already owned the place. Clara entered with impressive arrogance, while Camila, pregnant and clearly manipulated by her mother, began to explore the house without any permission. Camila opened cabinets and drawers, rummaging through every corner of the house with invasive curiosity. "This house needs a lot of changes," Clara declared disdainfully as she inspected the decor. "These curtains are awful, and this furniture, archaic. We need to turn this into a decent home for Camila and her baby." I tried to keep my composure and calmly asked what they were doing there. Clara looked at me with a cold stare and responded in an authoritative tone. "We've come to take what's ours. This house should belong to Camila. She's pregnant, and you know very well that your father would want her to have a safe and comfortable place to raise her child." My patience was starting to wear thin. "Clara, this house was left to me in the will. You have no right to just show up and act like everything here is yours," I said, trying to control my frustration. But Clara didn't want to listen. "You manipulated the will. This isn't fair. My husband would never have done this willingly. You must give this house to Camila. It's the least you can do after everything you've done." The situation escalated quickly. Clara began accusing me in every possible way, while Camila cried in the background, adding more drama to the scene. I was about to lose my patience when I saw something that deeply shocked me. On the living room table, Clara had left an envelope full of falsified documents, clearly planning to use them to take possession of the house. "Clara, what are these documents?" I asked, holding the envelope. She tried to grab it back, but I managed to keep it out of her reach. "This is none of your business. You have no right to go through my things," she shouted, her voice full of rage and panic. My girlfriend, who had been in the kitchen during all the commotion, came into the living room with a phone in her hand, recording the incident. She captured the entire scene, including Clara's attempt to grab the documents and her ensuing explosion of rage. "Are you recording this? How dare you?" Clara screamed, trying to intimidate my girlfriend. But she didn't back down. "These documents are fake, Clara. You're trying to take the house illegally," I said, trying to stay calm. Clara then completely lost control. "You think you can stop me? I'm God in this house. You will do as I say." She lunged at me, and in a moment of pure aggression, slapped me across the face. The physical pain mixed with anger and shock. Instinctively, I defended myself, pushing Clara away. Camila, seeing her mother being pushed, started screaming even louder, accusing me of violence. The situation was out of control. "Enough! I'm calling the police!" I shouted, holding my phone. Clara and Camila paused momentarily, evaluating whether I was serious. The expression on Clara's face changed from pure rage to a mix of fear and frustration. "You'll regret this. I'll destroy your life," she threatened, still trying to maintain an appearance of control. But I knew I had the upper hand. The recording made by my girlfriend would be proof enough of what had really happened. "If you don't leave now, the police will come and handle this," I repeated firmly. Clara made one last desperate move. "Camila, go get that expensive vase from the living room. If you won't give us what's ours, we'll take it anyway." Camila ran to the living room, but I positioned myself between her and the vase. "You're not taking anything from here," I shouted, blocking her way. My girlfriend continued recording, capturing every moment of the chaotic scene. Finally, Clara realized she had no more options. With a look of pure hatred, she pulled Camila by the arm and headed for the door. "This isn't over. You'll pay for this," she said, leaving the house. As soon as the door closed, I felt a wave of relief and exhaustion. The house was a mess, and the tension in the air was almost palpable. My girlfriend turned off the recording and came to me, offering comfort and support. "We'll deal with this together. We have proof of what happened. They won't get away with it," she said, her voice calm and steady. I looked around the house, now a symbol of a bitter conflict but also of a victory over injustice. I knew the battle was far from over, but at least, for now, I had managed to keep control over what was rightfully mine. Sitting on the couch, I felt the physical and emotional pain of the confrontation. But I also felt a new determination growing inside me. Clara and Camila might try to destroy me, but I was prepared to fight. With my girlfriend's support and the truth on my side, I was ready to face whatever came next. Chapter 5: Retaliation on Social Media. After Clara and Camila were forced out of my house, I thought the worst was over. However, I underestimated the reach of Clara's vengeance. Just a few days later, I was shocked to see a defamatory campaign against me gaining traction on social media. Clara and Camila, in a desperate act of revenge, started posting lies about me, portraying me as the villain who stole the house from my pregnant sister. The posts were carefully crafted, full of half-truths and distortions that made me look like an insensitive and greedy monster. "The truth about my evil brother," read one of the posts, accompanied by a photo of me. "He manipulated our father's will to steal our inheritance, and now he's trying to kick us out of our house," Clara claimed, with graphic details about how I supposedly treated them with cruelty. The posts went viral quickly. Angry comments flooded my social media. People who didn't know the whole story were ready to condemn me. Some even threatened to boycott my business, which only increased the pressure and stress. The wave of online hate was overwhelming, and I felt powerless against the sea of false accusations. My girlfriend, seeing the magnitude of the situation, suggested we consult a lawyer. "We can't let this go. We need to act before this destroys your reputation and your life," she said, with a firmness that gave me hope. We went to our lawyer's office, bringing all the evidence we had, including the recording of the incident at my house. The lawyer, an experienced and meticulous man, listened attentively and analyzed the evidence. "We have a solid case of defamation here. We'll send a legal letter demanding a public retraction and the removal of all defamatory posts," he stated. While we waited for the response to the legal letter, my friends and family mobilized to support me. They began sharing the truth on social media, explaining what had really happened and defending my integrity. Their support was crucial, helping to combat the false narrative Clara and Camila were trying to create. The situation reached its critical point when Clara and Camila received the legal letter. Initially, Clara refused to cooperate. "I'm not retracting. He's the villain here, and everyone needs to know it," she shouted during a phone call, which was also recorded by my lawyer. But when they realized that the legal battle would be long and costly, and that the evidence was clearly against them, they started to back down. The first to step back was Camila. She made a tearful video, publicly apologizing and detailing her mother's manipulation. "I was influenced by my mother. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm sorry for what I said about my brother," she confessed, her voice choked with sobs. The video was widely shared, and many people who had attacked me began to change their opinions. Clara, seeing the tide turning against her, was forced to do the same. Reluctantly, she published a public retraction, admitting that she had lied and that her accusations against me were false. "I apologize for any pain and confusion my actions may have caused. I was hurt and acted impulsively," her statement read. Although the retraction was brief and lacked the emotion of Camila's confession, it was enough to start repairing the damage. The repercussions of the retractions were immense. Friends and family continued to support me, sharing the truth and helping to restore my reputation. The public, seeing the confessions and evidence of my innocence, began to express solidarity and support. The scandal had serious consequences for Clara. Her manipulation and lies were publicly exposed, and her reputation was irreparably tarnished. She was fired from her job due to the bad publicity she brought to the company and faced social ostracism. Clara, who always prided herself on her social standing, now faced a very different reality. Camila, on the other hand, was in an equally difficult situation. Her public confession brought some sympathy, but also isolated her. She was forced to live in precarious conditions, without the financial support she had hoped to get from the inheritance. Facing the consequences of her actions, Camila began to understand the true extent of her mother's manipulation. Over time, life started to return to normal. My reputation was restored, and the truth prevailed. The company I inherited from my father continued to prosper, and my friends and family remained by my side. The experience, though painful, taught me about resilience and the importance of fighting for the truth. I looked at the house, now a symbol of everything I had overcome. Clara and Camila tried to destroy my life, but with the help and support of those who loved me, I prevailed. Justice had been served, and I was ready to move forward, leaving the shadows of the past behind. Reflecting on everything that happened, I realized that the battle was about more than just an inheritance or a house. It was about fighting for what is right and fair, about not letting malice and manipulation triumph over the truth. And finally, it was a lesson about the importance of standing firm in your convictions, even when the world seems against you. If you like this story and don't want to miss any of Redder's next amazing stories, subscribe below and turn on notifications. Here every week you will discover hidden stories from Reddit,